The crypto market is pumping and the crypto sports sector is worth $4.4 billion. 24-hour trading volume is over $300 million. Yeah, this is primarily driven by two projects and sports fans haven't bought into the crypto hype yet. In this video, we're going to explore the relationship and the issues between sports fans and the crypto space. My name is Tim from Fango, and as mentioned in this video, I want to talk about the relationship between sports fans and the crypto world. And to understand the relationship between the sports fans and the crypto market, we've got to go back to January 2020 and COVID. That's right, we need to cast our mind back to the time when we were locked up, we were told not to go out, told to stay at home, because really this was the beginning of the relationship between sports fans and the crypto market. And really it's still not recovered. And what I want to try and explore is, why is this relationship so damaged? So why is it relevant that we need to identify what has happened with crypto and what has happened with sports fans? But first we've got to look at the sector and we've got to realize what was happening in sports. So why is this relevant? So let's look back at what happened in the sports sector during COVID. So COVID was running wild, and for the first time ever, sports games, seasons, leagues were being cancelled and fans were being banned from the stadium. And a word that we heard constantly everywhere was unprecedented times. And this was true. It was unprecedented times and sports clubs didn't really know what to do. Revenues were down, sponsorships were being pulled, no fans in the stadium, and football clubs were being told to go and play in empty stadiums. And the lifeblood of a club is fans, is the money that they bring in every week or every other week into the stadium. And this obviously was massively affecting sports clubs. And it doesn't matter who you were. It doesn't matter if you're Manchester United, it doesn't matter if you were Man City or Barcelona. When revenue stops, you were in a serious problem. On top of that, with sponsors now looking to renegotiate their terms, payments being missed, and no new revenue coming in, clubs are really looking at their balance sheets, wondering, how are we going to survive? And this is really the catalyst of when the crypto world started infiltrating the sports world. And how did this happen? Where did this money come from? Well, first let's look at what happened again when the money printers turned on. Governments all over the world suddenly started printing money after money and after money. And all of a sudden, people were sitting at home, not able to go out, not able to spend money, and boom, where did that money go? That money went into the crypto space and the crypto market exploded. Bitcoin at the announcement of COVID was at about $3,000 and then later on went on to proceed to run to all-time high. And therefore this then created a huge amount of liquidity into the market. And this is where crypto brands started looking into sport as a way to get eyeballs on their projects. And so what we saw the perfect storm where we had sports clubs that had little or no revenue coming in due to the cancellation of products. And then we had the COVID market where we saw liquidity running through the roof. And then all of a sudden there were projects that were less than a year old that had millions of dollars in the bank or in their crypto token. So the crypto sector started approaching the sports sector. But why did they do this? Well, first of all, we need to look at where the money started coming to get into the crypto sector. And ultimately, what we need to remember is that the government started printing money and started printing a lot of it. And all of a sudden, all of these people that are staying at home, not able to spend their money, are turning to crypto. And the crypto market exploded. And we saw Bitcoin down at $3,000, then run to all-time highs. But what does this have to do with sports? Well, sports clubs and pretty much every business outside of crypto were cutting their budgets, were laying staff off, yet the crypto sector was booming, and sports was a natural target because sports was one of the only live new content that was being pushed out on TV. Even with sports fans not in the stadium, sports was the only thing that people were really sinking their teeth into and watching while at home. Even TV studios, even film sets, none of this was new, whereas live sports was new. And so we saw this as the perfect opportunity for crypto brands to get eyeballs on their project. And this was the beginning of the relationship between sports fans and crypto. And all of a sudden, crypto projects were approaching sports organizations, offering them hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars to sponsor clubs, to take IP rights. And at a time when most of these sports clubs were struggling with revenue and all of their other partners were pulling revenue streams from their club. So the dollar signs were everywhere. Sports clubs are a business at the end of the day, and sports clubs need revenue. So the crypto and the sports world was the perfect storm. There were dollar signs everywhere, and we saw these clubs, when their back was against the wall, oversee the usual DD process that they would do in any other environment. So what we saw is we saw these companies get IP rights, Web3 rights, sponsorship deals, everything under the kitchen sink. But 90% of these companies were less than a year old. 90% of these companies had no track record and were offering money that the clubs could just not turn down. And this was the first mistake that started alienating sports fans and the crypto world.
Wow.
So what then happened? What we know is COVID happened. We know that sports organizations were losing crazy revenue. We know that governments were printing a huge amount of money. That was flooding into the crypto market. And we saw prices of these crypto tokens rise everywhere. And it was all over the news. And obviously we saw a huge amount of announcements of sports brands and crypto projects partnering together. But outside of the sports space, there was a different piece of news that was capturing the headlines. A word that most people had never even heard of. And that was the word NFT, non-fungible tokens, to anyone that doesn't know. But the non-fungible token boom was what really brought the relationship between sports fans and crypto projects to its knees. Because what we saw and what we heard is we heard about all of these NFTs of a monkey that you could have bought for $200 a couple of months before, even weeks before COVID, that were worth $200, and now all of a sudden were rising to 2 million, to 3 million, to 4 million. We saw every single celebrity from Justin Bieber to Drake to Snoop Dogg all jump into this NFT craze, and it exploded. Every single project was just printing money, but it was printing money for the people that were creating these projects. And this caused a really big problem, because the problem that it did is you started creating this speculative price product around an NFT. You've got to remember that a non-fungible token, when you look at something like a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk, it wasn't initially created to have that speculative price asset. It wasn't initially created to go from $200 to $2 million. It was about owning a piece of art on the blockchain, about you owning it and about you having the rights to be able to do what you wanted with that. But what we then saw is that these people that were launching these products and were making incredible amounts of money, we saw other people try and copy that, but within the sports space. So we saw that these crypto projects started approaching sports clubs saying, look, let me take your NFT rights. Let me sell this NFT to your fans at $200, $300, on the basis that it potentially was going to rise to $2, $3, $4 million. So they started creating this poor, really rubbish artwork of players. Check out the Liverpool artwork. Liverpool did an NFT drop, and look at the artwork. And they were charging £75 for this, but on the basis that this is going to rise, and nearly 99% of projects now sit at zero. And this is really where the trouble with the relationship between crypto and sports fans came. So what we saw is most of these projects would then announce their partnership with this sports IP. And most of these projects had a token behind it. So there was so much money in the market that every time a project announced a partnership with a sports company, with a piece of IP, even a website, you would see their token price rise. But who owned that token? Most of the people who owned that token was held by the owners of the company. And sports fans didn't understand that yet. So what was happening is that these companies were announcing these big partnerships. They were seeing their token price go through the roof. Then the clubs were pushing and trying to sell a digital collectible, a digital NFT, on the promise or on the basis that it may unlock something amazing, that it may unlock amazing content, lifetime rewards, and that it was going to rise in value. But it didn't, because ultimately there wasn't a strategy behind this. There wasn't a product that was well thought out. So fans came in and they spent their hard-earned money, and essentially they got nothing, while the clubs walked away with money and the projects also walked away with money, while also having double bubble and having their token price rise through the roof. So where does that leave us? It left us with a bad taste in our mouth, where sports fans felt that they've been taken advantage of by the club that they love, that they've been taken advantage of by these crypto brands coming into this space, taking advantage of the situation that the clubs are in. And they're both to blame, and they're equally as bad as each other. But ultimately, this is what tarnished the relationship with sports fans. And it only takes one thing, and it ruins that relationship. So what we then saw is time and time again, sports brands partnering with crypto brands from 2020 till about 2023 to the end of 2022. And ultimately, sports fans got absolutely nothing out of it apart from wasting their money. And therefore, this is where the relationship completely fell apart. And what we then saw is the crypto crash happened. And we then saw all of these projects, token prices pretty much go to zero, lose 99% of their value. And therefore they were then no longer able to pay these amazing sponsorship fees, because where did that money come from in the first place? It came because they created a token out of thin air. They got a huge amount of liquidity from the market, from COVID, from governments that was pumping their price of token. And therefore they were sitting on unrealized profits of 10, 20, 30, 40 million, but they hadn't traded it out. And therefore, when the crypto crash happened, most of these projects went to zero overnight. And we just have to look at Digital Bits, Sporty Mongo, projects that are partnered with some of the biggest football clubs in England, in Scotland, in Europe, and they no longer were able to pay their sponsorship deals. And that is time and time and time again. We've seen these new headlines. This NFT platform, this crypto project has failed. So it's no wonder that sports fans are negative towards the crypto space. However, there is a place for the crypto space in the sports market if done properly. And this is what Fango is all about. Fango is an all-in-one sports super app that is giving back to sports fans, putting sports fans first, whether you like crypto or not. There's $4.4 billion currently running around the sports crypto space, yet it's controlled by two projects. One of those is a blockchain called Flow, and the other is a project called Chili's, which does all of the fan tokens. But there is no good products in the market at the moment that caters to a sports fan's daily demand without pushing crypto, but is allowing them to come in and start understanding and nurturing crypto. So the space now is open for opportunity. We need to rebuild this relationship with sports fans, and we need to rebuild this relationship with the crypto world, because it can be a win-win. Sports fans are spending more and more money on sports teams that they love. They're traveling further. They're spending higher subscription fees, higher season ticket fees, yet they're getting less and less and less back. And this is what Fango is all about. It's about giving back to sports fans, not just Fango. There's a movement called Social Fi, and Social Fi is social finance, where you are rewarded for your time. So now it's time for us to give back to sports fans, to bring them closer to the action, but reward them financially through rewards, through ticketing, through merch, through travel. Let's bring sports fans closer together. This is what Fango is about.